Alright, so we just got the patch notes. They literally just came out, and let's just review the Sorceress changes here real quick, right? So first of all, I want to say there hasn't been a lot of changes at all. Like, it's pretty minimal, right? I didn't expect these changes to be huge, but well, let's just go through it real quick. Like, I just feel like it is literally like not really a whole lot. So what did we get? We get one new unique items for all classes, which basically buffs basic skills. Then we get another aspect, like a utility aspect, by the way. So it's a utility aspect buffing basic skills. So when you cast basic skills at or above 50% maximum resource, they deal 40 to 80% increased damage. So if you play a basic skill build, you're obviously going to be above 50% all the time. So this is an aspect which increases the basic skill damage by 80%. And this one here can do like 100 to 200% basic skill damage. So there might be a huge edge for Arc-Lash builds here. And I'm going to go over that a little bit later. So other than that, really, there's a defensive aspect. You get a little bit of mana, but, evade has more cooldown, which is probably going to be, I don't really know what it means, right? It says 0.75 to 1.25. So I don't really know what that means at this point. It's just a random number to me. There's probably something behind this, right? But I don't know at this point. So it does something. Let's just wait it. Let's just wait for it. But again, so we have basic skill damage, which is a great thing for sorcerers in general. I would say I like basic skills. I like Arc-Lash builds in general. And if we can bump our Arc-Lash damage by a significant amount, I'm all over it. So what else do we get? So we got, this is a significant update here. So just read through this real carefully, right? Ring of Starless, guys. It was kind of, nobody would ever use it because in the lightning build, recharging aspect would be better. In Ice Shards build, well, nobody was really playing it, and in Fire build, you simply wouldn't need it. So now they changed it to be significantly different. So before, it did the following, right? Casting core skill reduces resource cost, and that was pretty much it, and it would reset on casting a non-core skill. So this is pretty much, if you're spamming core skills, they cost 40% less, but that's pretty much it. So now, it changed. So now it says spending resources reduces your resource cost and increases your damage by X 10% for 3 seconds up to 40%. So basically, we get 40% X damage. So that basically says, okay, Ring of Starless Skies, you know what? Your core skills cost like pretty much 40% less. Well, actually, it's all resource cost 40% less, and your damage is boosted by 40%. So this is pretty much like the strongest item you can simply have. Like, it's so freaking strong. It's just a flat 40% resource cost reduction and a flat 30% damage increase. So really, this is amazing, right? This is just going to be completely on top of everything. Best ring, nothing you can do about it. This is just what it is, right? Then we have one more change, offensive aspect of the expectant. This doesn't really matter at all. It is like basic skills buffing core skill damage, and we don't really care about this at all. So we have the Melted Heart. The Melted Heart basically got nerfed, but they changed it. So they basically gave it a lot of damage by healthy. They gave it movement speed, and they increased the stats on it. I don't have the stats in my in front of my eyes right now, but I guess it's like kind of nice. So they removed like basically the infinite resource gain, and they changed it to you gain 60 maximum resource, so they double the max resource, which is pretty nice, I guess. And then 75% of incoming damage now drains resource. So basically, you cannot be immortal because it's just 75%, right? So this is already the item upgrade, so let's scroll down here to the other Sorceress upgrades, because it is like not a whole lot, but I had very high expectations that they would buff Conjurations in a major way. Unfortunately, they did not, but they did a little bit of buffs at least. So let's go through it. First of all, we have the Starfall Coronet. We already saw that. It's transforming Meteor into like a charge cooldown skill, and it causes your Meteor enchantment to drop additional meteors, so this might give you like an infinite meteor, like chain reaction, whatever. But I guess just for playing Meteor, it's probably not going to be great, because you cannot spam Meteor, right? It has a 6-second cooldown on the best roll, so you can cast one Meteor every 6 seconds. That's going to be pretty useless. But if you have a free skill slot on your bar, you might as well take it. But then, obviously, the item doesn't really make sense because the Starfall Coronet, and you can see it on the screen right now, basically commits you into using Meteor. So unless you can somehow create like a chain reaction Meteor enchantment build, it's not going to be good. If you can create a chain reaction Meteor enchantment build, it's going to be great. If not, it's going to be useless. Pretty much that is what it is. And then they changed they give us the aspect of shredding blades. So this basically makes our ice blades stronger, like they get more vulnerable application, and the vulnerable application is increased. And furthermore, we get 25% X vulnerable damage. So this is pretty much a flat 25% X damage if you're playing ice blades, I would assume. Then or lightning nerf to the ground. Don't need to talk about this one. Attack speed rate maximum of 25%, though that's pretty much, it's a little gimmick, but literally the passive doesn't really do anything at all anymore. Mage Blizzard now always works instead of like over 50 mana. Well, it doesn't matter at all. And then we have Lightning Spear. Critical strikes apply vulnerable for 3 seconds. This is a nice change because, together with the Ice Blades, you have kind of an auto vulnerable, so you're not reliant anymore on Frost Nova, for example, or like if you're playing Ice Shards. But it looks like the companion has an auto vulnerable built in as well, so I can't really say that this is like anything major or not. Alright, and then we, last but not least, have some changes to the Paragon nodes. So we have Searing Heat. The critical strike chance bonus is increased from 10% to 12%. Well, alright. We just take it. Like, I know they said they are number buffing, but this is really number buffing. This is so minimal, it's literally not going to change anything at all. Yeah, you get 2% more crit, nice, we take it, but that's going to be it. Nothing major here. Then we have Elementel Summoner, so I was really hoping on them to significantly buff Conjurations. Unfortunately, they failed once again. Elementel Summoner was extremely weak with the X3, now it has X5. Don't get me wrong, it's almost double. You would reach like 35% extra conjuration damage before. So now with the X5, you get like maybe like 50% more. And even if you would commit getting like fire, lightning, and cold damage on your chest piece and on your rings, you might be able to get like a 70% or something like this. But that's going to be it. So conjuration still, they don't do enough damage for this to be any impactful. At least conjurations alone. So they would have needed at least a 200 to 300% buff to be viable on their own. But it's not very bad because conjurations are a great addition together with the conjuration mastery. And I have my Spark Conjuration build, and I'm gonna make another video on it on how it affects it. And I think the Spark Conjuration build, we will change Spark to Arc-Lash and use the new basic skill buffs, and that is probably going to be the cookie cutter build. And then, well, we have buffs to Burning Instinct, so this is a significant buff, right? Before we had 1% bonus burning damage per 75 intelligence, now we have per 25. So this is a times 3. So we get 3 times more burning damage bonus from the Burning Instinct node. Well, let me put it like this, right? If we play burning damage, like Fireball, maybe even Inferno, I don't think Inferno is gonna be a thing, but maybe it is, the burning damage from Meteor, so there's quite a few sources of burning damage, and this might actually be a great skill. We have to try out how the numbers actually work. Before, burning damage wasn't really great, but this is actually a significant buff to burning damage, so this might just, put it over the edge of being a viable choice here. And last but not least, we have some more upgrades here. So Aspect of Shattered Stars. Before we had a small amount of flat damage on the meteorites. So now we got a 20 to 30% of the meteor itself. I don't know how many of those meteorites are spawning, but this might be a significant damage increase. We have to try it out. Then we have the stuff of Liam Neeson. The chance from 30 to 50% to 40 to 60%. It's an okay buff. The build was fun. It's gonna be, this is a nuance, right? It is like a very, very tiny buff for charge bolts. I would just say it doesn't matter at all. But, it is there at least. And Isar Pants, well, the chance was 11 to 20%. Now it's 21 to 30%. Will that make the item significantly better? Yes. Will the item be used? Nope. Maybe in the early game, but it's not going to be an endgame item whatsoever. So this is pretty much everything they did to Sorceress. There's been a couple of bug fixes, and we go through these right now. So let's scroll down to the bug fixes here. This is probably at the very end. This is exactly, here's the bug fixes. So the bug fixes, like, I'm like surprised they didn't really fix any important bugs at all. Like, these are all like pretty much, you can read through them, but it doesn't matter at all. It's just like some minor bug fixes nobody cares about. So let's scroll down to the Sorcerer. So there has been some issues with Asus Heirloom, Flicker Step, and Teleport Enchantment. So Teleport Enchantment will now probably trigger Asus boots, which is really nice, because if you want to play any kind of Conjuration build, it's going to be based on unstable currents and also on overflowing energy. So before, we couldn't use Teleport Enchantment because it wouldn't trigger Asus boots. Now we can use Teleport Enchantment, and it will trigger overflowing energy. So this is probably a great thing, since it looks like we get free burning damage and free chilled from our companion. We have an open slot, which we could probably use for the Teleport Enchantment, which will significantly help us spamming more cooldowns for Ice Blades Enchantment. So I really think like the Conjuration, like, Arc-Lash build is going to be the king here, and I'm definitely gonna make a guide on this before the season even starts. Well, charges of the Oculus didn't increase by upgrading the weapon. You know, nobody cares about it really. Yeah, we nerfed Ball Lightning. Let's just not read about it at all. It had to happen. Then this one here is a problem. So it says fixed an issue where the static search legendary node would trigger from automatic casts of skills such as Chain Lightning Enchantment. So, for example, in a Blizzard build, you could use the Chain Lightning Enchantment plus the static search node, and you get a little bit of extra mana regeneration. And I feel like it's a pretty high investment for a little bit of mana regeneration, and I don't see being anything wrong with this. I don't know why they changed this, because this is actually just destroy another way of mana regeneration Sorcerer has. And I didn't really see the necessarily, like, I didn't really see the reason to change this at all. It doesn't make sense to me. Then we have fixed an issue where ice spikes would instantly explode when casting Deep Freeze. I don't even know what that means. Like, who cares if it instantly explodes or not? Like, it does damage. I think it explodes after, like, you know, half a second. So, I don't know. It doesn't matter at all. Battlecaster aspect, buff falling off. Well, you would only use this aspect if you're snapshotting anyway, so I don't care. I don't do snapshotting. And this one, well, at least one nice bug fix we have here. We fixed an issue where the protection passive did not take into account any bonuses to barrier generation. So I don't think barrier builds are going to be a thing, but, you know, maybe, again, I'm talking about the Arc-Lash Conjuration build. You spam cooldown reduction with your Ice Blades, and the protection passive gives you a barrier, so you have the option to play low life. And with this, you can actually, you know, get like 30 to 40% barrier generation, and you can get a significantly bigger barrier from your protection passive. So that's going to be a nice addition. And well, that's all the changes to Sorcerer already. So it's not much. There are some significant buffs, especially, well, one of the significant buffs is for the Uber Unique, which I would consider, well, yeah, it's nice if you can farm it. The ring is going to be godly. But besides that, we really have some slight conjuration buffs, some strong buffs to burning damage, and we have buffs to basic skills. So we have strong buff to basic skills. So let me just scroll up here again to summarize these buffs to basic skills, right? So, damaging enemies with a cast non-basic skill. By the way, they finally managed to make a tooltip, which is meaningful. So, this is a cast non-basic skill. So, please just update all tooltips and say this, and make it mean this. All right. So, damaging enemies with a cast non-basic skill marks them for 3 seconds. When a basic skill first hits a marked enemy, the basic skill damage is echoed to all marked enemies, dealing 100% to 200% increased damage. Alright, 100 to 200% X. Like, this is nuts. Alright, so if you're playing Arc-Lash, Arc-Lash is already doing a significant amount of damage, right? Casting a non-basic skill, you do it all the time, right? It's defensive skills, you know, again, you play Conjuration, so you cast Ice Blades all the time, you cast Lightning Spear all the time, you cast Hydra, stuff like that, right? So you're gonna be casting non-basic skills all the time. Damaging them with a non-basic skill. So let's just make it Flame Shield. You move into a stack of mobs, use Flame Shield, they all get marked. Then when a basic skill first hits them, the basic skill damage echoes to all marked enemies with 100 to 200% increased damage. So basically the Arc-Lash damage will echo to all other marked enemies and explode. Well, it doesn't explode, but it will deal damage to all of them at 200% X. This is nuts. So Arc-Lash is going to be amazing. I can already tell you. And then, we have the second aspect, right? Essence of adaptability. Well, when cast above 50% maximum resource, basic skills deal 40 to 80% increased damage. There's no X here. So if this is additive, whatever, Blizzard, we don't care about you. You're just stupid guys, right? If this is not multiplicative, why even put it on here? Nobody cares about 40 to 80% additive damage. It's just not meaning anything. But if this is 40 to 80% X, we have 200% here and 80% here, and this is just like a massive buff to basic skills. Anyway, so this is my quick recap about Sorcerer patch notes. Not super happy with it, but I'm excited for the changes to basic skills because this really fits my Conjuration build I already built, and this might be an amazing build to play, and our Arc-Lash might be going to town like extremely strong if we have these unique gloves. What do you think about it? Just let me know in the comments down below if you find this video useful. And that's it from me. I will make another review again about these patch notes a little bit later. But yeah, that's it from me. And thank you so much for watching.